good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Oh.
2. Check. Two. Check. Check 2. How's it going, folks? Sean, thanks for the resub. Was that 33 months tier 1 from Sean? Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, sir. You're appreciated. Do you understand me? Do you understand me, you son of a bitch? You're appreciated. Hope you're well. Your beef with Sputnikovsky is going well. It's going very well. The beef is progressing well. I was happy with the foundation of the beef. We've got a good foundation to build on. And I think with the kind of work that we've both been putting in, both you, Gopnik, and I, the work we've both been putting in, I think it has the potential to be a beef for the ages. Tomorrow the Discord server will be prestigiated because we'll be watching the one and only movie, The Prestige. We've been doing a lot of groundwork, a lot of beef building. The Prestige will be fun. I literally just watched it like a month ago, but rewatching it again, I thought it would be so fun to watch with the community, with people that haven't seen it before. So even though I just watched it recently, I'm looking forward to watching it with some of the first timers. We're calling it beef maxing. That's right. I would love to rewatch it with you. Well, you're welcome to do that. If you're in the Discord server, anyone is welcome. Anyone is welcome. A lot of people seem ready to beef. Really, as much as I've tried to avoid the beef lifestyle over the course of this program, it seems to be the thing that brings in the viewers. You know, I didn't choose the beef life, but sometimes it does choose me. Sometimes I have no choice. Sometimes I just have no choice but to get down and dirty, roll around in the slop. I'm not above it. Sometimes it's just what the situation demands. The Michael Corleone of beefing, exactly. Just when I thought I was out. Just when I thought I wasn't beefing anymore. They beefed me back in. Does the Discord server link work? I remember a couple of days ago we were getting some feedback that it was actually not working. The link wasn't working. Does it actually work? Hopefully. I've not been on social media yet this morning because I went and got my COVID and flu shots. Oh, that's good. Good for you. You shouldn't go on social media. It's bad. It's not good. I would stay away from there. Low stakes beef is a nice respite from actual targeted slander and harassment beef of Jesse Brown. He's really been in his element the last couple days. Rob Russet has no fear of beef. I have to ask you, Gopnik, what was going on with that? I'm so curious about what that is. Beef is just another word for meat. That's right. Sean Beef, as they call him. Russet is a portmanteau of Russian asset. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Lenin's Lament. Hello, Lenin's Lament. Only 23 months to go. If only I could grandfather you in, even though you are a brand new community member. Is it Jake? Is that it? I actually can't remember. Barry. Excuse me. Excuse me. Jake it is. Barry Jake Smesh, Esquire. I don't really have anything interesting for lunch going on. I just ate a donut. I had a third cup of coffee and a donut. That was my lunch. No, it was not Timmy Ho's. It was a grocery store donut. The apple evens it out. That's right. It was a grocery store donut. The grocery store near me. It has a little bakery or whatever. And the donuts are very good from there. I had my first fresh apple cider donut this week and it shot up to a top 5 all time for me in terms of donut flavor. I don't think I've had that specific donut. I'm sure I've had some kind of like apple fritter or apple flavor. Not that specific variant though. I do find the grocery store bakery donuts fresher than Timmy's. Like at Tim Hortons, they don't even bake the donuts there. I believe they're frozen. I think they're maybe at one point they used to bake the donuts there, but they don't anymore. They're just frozen and they just reheat them or whatever. Ever since that Brazilian company bought them, they bring them in frozen. It is great that one of the like main pillars of Canadian identity, such as it is not even like this Canadian-owned business. It's this like crappy fast food. It's all right. I eat the food there sometimes. I'm not going to lie, but this mediocre fast food coffee shop donut place that is owned by a Brazilian food conglomerate. And this is we've constructed an entire national identity around this. The chicken bacon ranch wrap has gotten me through many tough afternoons. I do love that farmer's wrap, I got to admit. That's a nice breakfast. That's a very satisfying breakfast. It shows how spiritually empty neoliberalism is. Worshipping a product. Absolutely. This is what sets us apart individually and as like national identities. What product do you like to consume the most? Let's construct entire identities around it. or like Marvel movies or Disney movies or, you know, whatever coffee shop brand speaks to you personally, your identity. What does my favorite dish detergent say about me as a person? What does my credit card company say about me and my identity? Two products drilled into my brain, McDonald's and Apple. That's as far as I go. I mean, listen, I'm not immune to it either. I am not immune to it either. My credit card company is investing in Israeli weapons systems. Same with my bank as well. In Canada, I don't even think you can go to a bank that's not investing in Israeli weapons systems. The new Canadian coins with King Charles are being unveiled today. No. That's not true. I refuse to believe. If I'm ever carrying around a fucking money, a coin or a bill in my wallet with King Charles on it, what more example do you need that we got a fake country here? No. Oh. They're actually doing this. They are actually doing this. Royal Canadian Mint. It's like Christy Freeland in her hard hat. Jesus. Royal Canadian Mint to begin circulation of coins with image of King Charles. Do we get to see it? It's being unveiled. Oh. Preposterous. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Why is this man on our money? This man has no connection to anything that's happening here whatsoever. We have the king. Let's put the king. We're a real country. We like early morning hockey practices and Labatt Blue and
you can
Tim
count
Hortons.
On me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I'm sharing my King Charles $5 bill with you today. Thank you for the streams, TRRS Sankara.
Thank you, Kijiji, for the 35 months. Very close to the 3-year badge, the Pearl badge. I appreciate all the support, Kijiji. Thank you. At least that Hunka guy is not on our bills. I think we should put Hunka on there. We might as well. That's more of an actual reference to the legacy of this country than King Charles. Like, we're really pretending we're a real country with this guy in our with the king of England. What are we doing here? The Mint also sent the design to Buckingham Palace for approval. We don't even have the independence of deciding what it looks like. Jesus. He's just a guy, Sean. He's just some guy. My gosh. King Charles. What are we doing here? Does it show his finger? That's what we should put. If we're going to put King Charles on our money, I think that's what it should be. His weird fucking bloated sausage fingers. That should be our coin. Some dude who's related to some dude who was important 1,000 years ago. It's absolutely absurd. Being peevish because something was too close to him on the desk. Calling one of his slaves over to move the thing on that he could just reach over himself and touch. I don't touch objects. I'm too important to touch objects. They should put the one that already looks dead in the car on there. For sure, yeah. Who's that guy again? The Queen's husband. Throw him on there. It's swollen from a royal wanking accident. That's right, Philip, yeah. I forgot his name too. Is he still alive? I don't know. I think similar to the Queen, he's probably been dead for some time, and they just kind of roll out the funerals when they have something that they want to cover up. Bunch of nonsense. Hey, so while we are here, folks, we got a big announcement for tomorrow. He died in 2021. Like, there it is. Okay. Right, of course. I knew that. Obviously, I knew that. Big announcement for tomorrow. So, as you know, I mean, one of the things that I've kind of been interested in working on since I started doing kind of podcasting or whatever the hell it is that I do in this country, having King Chuck on the stream. That's right. That's the big announcement. But it's, you know, I've had this interest along with my friend Andre Goulet in trying to like bring people together that are doing different projects across the country, kind of with the same sort of like goals, right? And that's went into the creation of the Harbinger Media Network, just taking all the different podcasters and just putting them all in one place. And one thing, I haven't really been involved in the creation of this project. I'm kind of peripherally involved. But there's a brand new website that's launching tomorrow called Unrigged. And Unrigged is just basically taking all the different progressive media that's going on in Canada right now, all the different kind of independent outlets, publishing stuff, and just putting it all in one place. So if you want to get like progressive news about Canada or like left wing or socialist values or whatever in your news, there's one website that you can go to called Unrigged. That's just going to have like just a refreshing news feed of all the different leftist media outlets across the country. It's just in like a one place where everyone is all their work is getting funneled there. So tomorrow we're going to be doing a special launch for Unrigged. And we're going to have Andre coming on the show and a bunch for a few hours tomorrow. It's going to be what we're doing here tomorrow. Just going to have a bunch of different progressive Canadian writers and podcasters and commentators coming on the show tomorrow just for like 15-20 minutes each to hang out, shoot the shit a little bit, talk about what they're working on, talk about Unrigged, and we're just going to launch this website. So really looking forward to that tomorrow. And I got a chance to look at the website today. It looks fantastic. I think it's a good idea. It's going to be a place that, you know, can hopefully compete with different sort of mainstream outlets, but has actually decent values and interesting things to say. A lot of really talented people involved in it. So that's going to be very cool. That's what we're doing tomorrow on this stream. And on Friday, you thought that was the only announcement? Well, guess what, asshole? You're wrong. It's not the only announcement. On Friday, I'm talking to Justin Potter, who has been on this show before. And maybe, not sure, but maybe John Elmer of Electronic Intifada might be coming on as well. Justin said that he would try to get him as well. So definitely Justin Potter on Friday and maybe John Elmer of Electronic Intifada. So that's going to be fantastic as well. You're going to ask every guest whether or not they condemn Hamas. Yeah, no, I am. And there's actually been a form that people needed to sign before even getting considered to come on here. and they have got to condemn all the baddies before they get a chance to come on here, which I know is something that everyone in this community supports. You got to condemn Hamas, Putin, Maduro, Ortega, Kim Jong-un, President Xi. The whole gang. There's just a blanket condemnation. You got to sign it before you even get a chance. Before you even think about coming on here. And the Cheeto Man, obviously. I do not believe Canada Land is part of Unrigged. No. I like that Corbyn still hasn't given them the answer they demanded. I mean, this is just why Corbyn is just the man. He just refuses to do it. And like he's already done. Like he said. Violence is bad. Like, what more do people want? You know? Do you condemn Jeremy Corbyn? Yeah, I mean, he's already said. So the repeated browbeating is just pathetic, and it shows Piers Morgan is like the perfect example of like what a journalist like thinks they are. It's like, there, see, I platform these Arabs, and they talk about Palestine, and I have a little bit of criticism for Israel, and I also yell at and browbeat Jeremy Corbyn about condemning Hamas. See, that's called being both giving energy to both sides or whatever. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, never acted that way with other guests because he knows there's an audience for that. It's just like it's easy for someone. There's like this whole audience in the UK that believe Jeremy Corbyn still is like the devil incarnate. So he knows he can just invite him on the show and just scream in his face, and he's going to get a lot of positive comments from it. Before we go on, let's just look at this clip. This is the tweet Mark Wayne was mad about, and his name is Mark Wayne. Like it's a weird name. Oh my God. Okay. So here's the tweet that started. We're talking beefs. We're talking beefs over here. We got a new beef to discuss here between Sean O'Brien of the Teamsters. Says greedy CEO pretends like he's self-made. In reality, just a clown and fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me anytime, any place, cowboy. And he's standing on a little thing to look taller. That's funny. And so that was from June. That's from June 2021. Or sorry, 2023. So who's this guy? Mark Wayne something? Like I don't even know really who he is. He's some like he's like a anti-workers like small business tyrant that acts like he's like a common man, self-made business owner when really he just inherited his dad's company. Is that about right? Mark Wayne. That is Senator Mark. That's his first name. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. That's not a real name. Like, I'm sorry. That's not a real name. Mark Wayne Mullen. That's two names. Pick a name. Okay? Pick one. What is this? Yeah, it's not. It's like if it was hyphenated, even that would be one thing. Even though I would still think that was fake. In Quebec, that's a big thing. You have two first names and they're hyphenated. That's a really common thing in Quebec in French. But like Mark Wayne Mullen, fake. I call bullshit on that. Total fabrication. Anyway, here's what happened at a Senate hearing today when these two they got together after that devastating dunk on X.com, the Everything app. My senator, unfortunately, his dad built the company he inherited, Mullen Plumbing. Okay, so he's like a Joe. Is Mark Wayne the plumber? Jean-Jacques, Frank Jean-Jacques. No, that's not. Jacques is not a name, but it's a nice try approximating that kind of culture. Okay, Okay, here's what happened today. I have not watched this yet.
Sir, I wish you was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big
No,
guy.
no, stop it.
Is that your
All right.
solution every
Hold it. No, sit down. Sit down.
Okay.
You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond, Mr.
Hold
Chairman?
it. Hold it. If
Hold
we
on.
can't, no,
This is
I have
what
the
he
mic.
said.
I'm sorry.
This is
Hold
what
it.
he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't.
Yeah, that lived up to expectations. That was great. I like the response too. I like the complete. Yeah, Bernie, let him fight. Come on. I liked the total lack of like the guy didn't even bother to try and be like, well, no, you know, he didn't try to do anything. He was like, he was right on board right away. I don't know if Mark Wayne expected that.
Cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
I'd love to do it right now. That's great. That's fantastic. This guy in the back too. Sickos. That's great. I think they should do it. I think Bernie shouldn't have stopped them. Sometimes you just got to let them two guys go at it. That's one of my primary rules in life. That was great. That absolutely lived up to expectations. Let the old boys have a scrap. That's how he settled things on the playground. Chin chin, everybody. That was fantastic. Oh, how do you top that? We can get that Mark Wayne guy and the one Montana congressman that pound drived a reporter to form a tag team. Wasn't that the governor? Greg something? I already can't remember. Which is funny because I remember the reporter that got pile drived in that case. Greg Gregerson. That's it. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. And I remember the reporter immediately went back to being like a sniveling dipshit afterwards. Guillen Forte. That's right. I think that's something like that. Something along those lines. It's funny because Mark Wayne is a big fighters' rights guy. He wants to do regulation to force the UFC to follow the Ali Act. And he's also anti-union. Absolute fried egg for a brain. It seems like that. That would be my takeaway as well. Donnybrook. On Capitol Hill, a slobber knocker. Very exciting. I just have to see the reaction one more time. That was great. I'm not I am a big beef expert, as you know, but I really think that's how you got to handle these kinds of like aggressive provocations.
Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh,
That is iconic. I'd love to do it right now at a Senate hearing. We're two consenting cowboys, just two men standing their butts up to have a little slobber knocker. What's wrong with that? He starts taking off the ring. Like, it's funny because he knows full well that they're not going to be having a battle. They know they're not going to have a fight, right? He knows that.
no, stop it.
He does the ring.
Revolutionary
Oh,
Pope.
I'm going to take off the ring. Like, sir, you're not going to fight. You're not going to fight at a Senate hearing. Like, are you fucking kidding me? We all know this. Like, let's not lie to ourselves here. Hold me back. Hold me back, Bernie. If this guy wasn't stopping me, I'd come down there. The two consenting adults forgot to get Bernie's consent. That's right. Isn't there someone you forgot to ask? Isn't there someone you forgot to ask? If it was a woman, Bernie would let her fight. That's right. This is why it was a mistake to allow broads into the Senate in the first place. Dames, broads. What's another old time? We don't need to get too offensive with it, but these old time classic. This is skirts. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Come on, toots. Mark Wayne Mullen. Jesus. So there is a couple things that I want to look at today. There's a couple things I want to look at today. There is the pro-genocide march going on. There's the pro-Israel, pro-Zionist, pro-genocide march going on with an A-list, a who's who of A-list speakers at that. I love the protests to be like, I support the government and what the government's doing, and I want them to continue. Very brave stance. You've got like these pro-Israel rallies happening in the UK, like in Europe as well, and you have like actual fascists showing up to support them. You got Tommy Robinson showing up in the UK. You've got Marine Le Pen showing up in France. Like it's so silly. These are the people that are lecturing us about supporting Jews and supporting Jewish people. Courageously fighting for the status quo. That's right. Very brave people. Deborah Messing and Michael Rappaport. If this was like a late 90s rom-com, then that would be really wielding some heavy hitters. Unfortunately, it's the year 2023 and it's a pro-Israel rally, so it'll maybe less effective, but the pro-Palestine march had 300,000, but the pro-Israel is reported to have tens of thousands. Yeah, we'll see about that. I know Montreal has a large Jewish population. How's the message support up there? Well, I mean, Jewish people here have been involved in every pro-Palestine rally that I've been to. I mean, there's the Jewish community here or elsewhere is not a monolith. Obviously, I think there's a lot of support that has been cultivated over the years within the Jewish community and outside that for people that support Israel. I don't think that's a secret, but just as in anywhere, there's been an anti-Zionist Jews showing up at every pro-Palestine rally. I mean, it's one of the things that's been alarming. I talked the other day about how there was like at a Jewish day school, someone like fired a gun at it a couple days ago at night, like not when people was there, but it's still kind of a scary moment. It's definitely a reminder for me and for everybody that like in these moments when there's this like massive coalition of people that are speaking out against the actions of Israel and supporting Palestinians, it's a moment where an opportunist can try and use that moment to promote their own kind of like anti-Semitic views, which is something that everyone obviously needs to oppose. I still, I don't really feel like contributing to this narrative that people like Jesse Brown are trying to promote, that it's some kind of like terrifying moment to be Jewish, like this whole idea that like, oh, there's these protests and it's threatening and scary for Jewish people, which I just don't agree with. When Jewish people show up to these rallies, they get greeted and are included and there's no problem. So I don't really agree with that. I don't really agree with taking like people fucking, putting up posters in Indigo, a multi-billion-dollar book business, about the CEO of Indigo, like raising funds for the IDF. I don't agree with calling that anti-Semitism, or people marching for Palestine or writing "Free Gaza" or "Free Palestine" on graffiti. I don't think that is something that people need to fearmonger about. But that doesn't mean that there's not like Montreal is a sizable neo-Nazi contingent. And that doesn't mean like that those people don't exist, and that they're not going to take these moments to act on their kind of deranged and anti-Semitic beliefs. And it's because we're capable of holding two thoughts in our mind at the same time, we can stand completely unapologetically with Palestine, while also not allowing these kinds of like anti-Semites to hijack or to co-opt that kind of energy in any way. And I wouldn't want to go too far down that road. I know there is like an effort to contribute to this like climate of fear, but I feel a little uncomfortable, Dr. Awesome, talking about like false flags and stuff like that. I think the most likely scenario when it comes to something like that is that there's anti-Semites and neo-Nazis that are taking this moment to act out on their reactionary and anti-Semitic beliefs. I hope that whoever was responsible for that specific incident is caught and we can know exactly who did that and who is responsible. I think that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that whoever is responsible for that gets caught and punished for it, and we can know exactly who this was, and we can make a distinction then between like anti-Semites and neo-Nazis versus people that are standing up for Palestine right now. It's so disingenuous to put actual violent anti-Semitism in the same breath as posters talking about a billionaire supporting the IDF and then compare the latter to Kristallnacht. Yeah, it's insane. It is insane, St. Lotus. And it's another thing too, like someone was mentioned like Jesse Brown's like that, because he's a multi-millionaire because he helped invent Bitmojis or those bit strips or something like that. And someone brought that up about how he's this like multi-millionaire tech guy, and then he's like, "Oh, I just see that you're talking about the rich Jewish guy," you know, and kind of framing himself as being some kind of victim, which I find really strange. I had no idea that he was even Jewish until he mentioned that, or really until he started like engaging in this kind of weird sort of borderline like yellow journalistic kind of engaging in that and kind of promoting these rallies and people putting up posters and suggesting that that's on par with like violent assaults and attacks by Nazis and stuff. I found that very kind of strange. Class is a myth. It's all Paul vibes from here on out. That's right. Why the hell would I think these people are Jews even if they were? It's irrelevant to them being a shithole. I mean, that's the thing. It's like we were watching that interview with Roger Waters the other day. It's like, I really don't care what religion people are. Like it's not something I ever really think about. I'm just not religious myself. I've never really just had religion in my life. I think I went to church like twice maybe when I was a kid, and then my parents just didn't bother with it. I've just never had that as part of my upbringing or my lifestyle. So it's just not something I really think about. And even when people start talking about Israel and like and promoting Israel and talking about Zionism and engaging in the discourse like that, there's many people that are not Jewish that do that as well. So it's like, it's not something I really think about. A guy who once said Hitler was sent by God to create Israel is at the rally today. Oh, good. I'm sure all the people they're gonna condemn. They're gonna condemn that guy. I was a new atheist. I mean, I had a time in my probably mid-late 20s when I thought as a lot of people did, I think like the whole like new atheist movement was appealing to a lot of people that felt like they were growing up, they were being ruled by people that were governed by these like weird evangelical religious beliefs. But I mean, we all saw how that movement kind of just devolved into basically like an anti-Islam like Islamophobic kind of thing. And almost all the kind of central figures of that movement all got outed as being these like weird reactionaries. And it's a completely kind of incoherent ideology. I just don't care. I don't care if people are religious. If they're not, it does not bother me. You know, people are free to whatever like gives their lives meaning. If people think being religious helps them somehow have a certain kind of morality or answer certain questions that they don't have the answers to about our existence, go to town. You know, it's totally fine with me. When you start shoving it in other people's faces, I think that's when it becomes a problem. When you start legislating according to your religious beliefs and making everyone live under the same beliefs, that's when I kind of have a problem with it. But I don't care. Like, it's fine. Like, for me, what's given my life meaning, not that I view it as being a religion or anything, but for me, that's been Marxism. That's what, as I've gotten older, has helped answer questions that I have about the way the world works and about history and about it's given my life a kind of sense of purpose. You know, that's more what I've latched onto as getting older, without ever really having like an actual religion in my life style. But I just don't care. I don't care. Be whatever religion you want. It's totally fine by me. As a religion major, I've learned a lot, and oddly, most people in my program are gay and leftist. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about Israel is a really interesting example, too. Like, the whole idea that this land, which is so important to every major Abrahamic religion, to Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, this land is so important. And the idea that, like, we just, like, forced this Jewish ethno-state onto this land and backed it with the military might of the world's strongest imperialist powers, and has subsidized it by exploitation and theft and apartheid. I mean, who thought that was a good idea, you know? Who thought that was a fucking good idea? It's precisely why there shouldn't be a two-state solution. Like, there shouldn't be a two-state solution. There should be one state. The land is very important to many people. The Jews are not leaving. The Arabs, the Muslims are not leaving. So what's the problem? Just have one state where everyone can live together. Yeah, Christians are certainly not leaving at all either. Stalin sadly did for a bit. That's right. That's one of the bigger L's of the big man's career. Yeah, and Marty says, this life is too weird and too short to not wonder what happens at the end of it. Yeah, and just like anybody else, I wonder as well, but it's just not something I really spend a lot of time thinking about. My view on that is, when you die, you go back to wherever you were before you were born. And we'll find out when we get there. You know, that's the extent that I think about that.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
You know what's a good idea? Being part of a friendship triangle, not a cult bun posers. TRRS trustworthy Rob.
Thanks, Useless, for the 22 months tier 1. I appreciate that. And that's right. It's if you're not religious, or even if you are, but you do need something that's going to give your life meaning, you can be in part of this community as well. And it's not a cult or a pyramid scheme, but it still will give you that same kind of benefit. Something to consider, you know? What if when we die we get trapped in the internet? And well, unfortunately, that is the future that we're heading towards. Even if you're physically gone and you're wherever you are after you die, but there's going to be this facsimile AI version of you on the internet that lives on, a construct, which you're not even really connected to. It's just a copy of you. It's what an algorithm thinks what your values are and what your speech patterns are. So even after I'm gone, this is going to be very philosophical. Even after I'm gone, there's going to be a Rob construct for you all to hang out with. Especially if you spent hundreds of hours on video at twitch.tv. I agree, yeah. Yeah, I'm fucked. A Robstruct. How do I know I'm not an AI already? I don't know. How do you know I'm not an AI already? How many of you have seen me in real life? How do you know that I'm real? Trying to trick the Rob AI to say CM Punk was mid, and it's never going to happen. Never going to happen, my friend. Thanks for sacrificing your eternal soul for our entertainment. Well, you know, it's a living. It's a living. So I've been watching. Has anyone seen For All Mankind? I started watching that. While we're talking about how everything exists to begin with, it's interesting. For All Mankind, kind of going back to this idea of like space, when like our values as a society were about like exploring space and learning about the mysteries of the universe and stuff, and we kind of gave up on it. I'm about 5 episodes in. Yeah, I think I watched episode 3 last night. It is interesting. I do find it sad, like in the first episode when you see man land on the moon and waving this and having the Soviet flag on the moon. I'm just like, God, I wish that was the universe we were living in. Yeah, former Star Trek writer. Yeah, Ron D. Moore. He was one of the he wrote some of the very best Next Generation episodes, and he was also the showrunner for Deep Space Nine. When our values were allegedly about discovery. And Battlestar Galactica, that's right. And I do find it kind of frustrating the way it kind of like tries to rewrite history. It kind of uses this alternate history to like propose different ideas and directions. I think one example that kind of turned me off a little bit in the episode that I watched recently, so that one of the storylines from the first couple of episodes is that the Soviets land a female cosmonaut on the moon, which causes this big international, celebration. And so as a result, NASA says, well, we're going to put a female astronaut as well. So we're going to like, they go this whole process of like selecting this female astronauts to like put a female NASA astronaut on the moon. And that to me is rewriting his, like, I know it's an alternate history thing, but like NASA was well aware that there were female cosmonauts in the space program going into orbit. Like there was female cosmonauts going into orbit around the Earth when all you could be at NASA was like a secretary, or maybe if you were really brilliant doing the calculations, like the math calculations. And they didn't, there was no big panic to say, well, we got to get our own female astronauts, you know? Like they didn't respond that way. They said, no, we're still going to continue to not have women astronauts, you know? Just this whole idea that America would decide to like go in this direction because they're being pressured by the Soviets to promote women's rights. Like that in no way tracks with what America's actual values are. If they were, they would have had female astronauts in our own reality as a response to what the Soviets were doing. Yeah, good for you. No, thank you. That's what NASA actually said. We let the dames do the calculations too. Yeah, that's right. So I guess that was one thing that I found kind of annoying. I do enjoy the show though. I like, alternate history is just an excuse to discard the character of the state. I noticed the same thing with Hunters on Prime. Where it's just like, oh yeah, they're acknowledging all these like programs to bring Nazis into NASA and all these other institutions in America, and the whole like Operation Paperclip, Operation Sunrise, Fourth Reich kind of thing. But then they're also just like, but then that's all real. They acknowledge that. And then they're like, but then we also had the CIA had like a cool multicultural team of Nazi hunters that were tracking that down. Only that did not happen though. There was no cool multicultural team of Nazi hunters. Like you're referencing the real history of the Nazis and what happened with that movement after the war, and talking about the ways they were brought into America and into all these institutions. But then you're kind of whitewashing by saying like, but the US was also behind the scenes, had these people that were tracking these folks down. But like, that didn't happen though. That's not true. The first part was true. The second part, not so much. The first episode of For All Mankind featuring WVB, and they don't pay any attention to it. Yeah, but there was in episode 2, there's a whole hearing where this senator like calls out his associations with the concentration camp where the rockets were built and stuff like that. Like they did talk about that a little bit. Yeah, because he fucked up. That's right. And then he gets taken down. He's a little too humanized for my liking. They're trying to hunt them down to invite them over. That's right. That's what America was actually doing with the Nazis. Nazi hunting was more of a commie thing, like Bandera getting got by the KGB. Well, there was, like we've talked about the different factions in the intelligence community, there were factions that were that did not want Nazis in America and that were hunting them down. But overall, these factions lost out to the pro-Nazi faction, kind of headed by Allen Dulles and the CIA. And so eventually they kind of gave that up. I know there's factions and different people in the United States government that had at least decent values and who actually bought into the idea that fascists and Nazis were bad and should not be part of their society. But institutionally, though, they had no actual power. The people that had the power in the U.S. government were the pro-Nazi faction. Anyway, it is interesting to think about a sort of alternate future where that interest in exploration and discovery remained part of our values, but I think that's the horrifying thing about that moment, the real alternate history. Somewhere out there on either Earth 2 or Earth 3 or Earth 5 or whatever it is, there is a alternate history where after the war, if the FDR faction kept control of the U.S. government and worked with the Soviets and ushered in a new era of cooperation and prosperity, that future was possible for just a brief moment, and it got cruelly snatched away. It got cruelly snatched away, even though it was a possibility. There's also like an Earth 6 where they sided with the Nazis. Really, that's probably Earth 1 when you think about it. We're certainly not Earth 1 and where we are, but I liked Hunters because the CIA agent was continually bewildered. Yeah, I enjoyed the show, honestly. Same with For All Mankind. But I think there's a sort of criticism that nags at me when I watch this stuff. I did watch Oppenheimer as well on the weekend. I finally saw Oppenheimer, which I quite enjoyed a lot as well. Even though I found Oppenheimer to be not a very sympathetic protagonist, really enjoyed the film. Loved the performances, loved the score. It was really riveting despite not relying on any kind of weird sci-fi tropes that Christopher Nolan often leans on. Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. was good. The Cold War still would have gone on with or without FDR. I guess really the question is whether those pro-Nazi elements had been purged properly. Because yeah, I agree that it would have happened no matter what if the Dulles wing still had power institutionally in the U.S. government. But I think there was desire for FDR to deal with that. There was a possibility that Dulles could have been convicted of treason. He engaged in treasonous activity. And perhaps if FDR hadn't died, maybe that actually would have resulted in something. And then who knows what would have happened. It's interesting to explore that. I think that's the alternate history that I'm most into. Good movie, and the crippling guilt was certainly on display as it should have been. Well, yeah, it's a good example, I think, of someone like Oppenheimer, who clearly is someone who had leanings and some decent values supporting the Spanish Civil War and trade unions and trying to unionize workplaces, but also had this kind of towering ego and kind of held on to this idea that the bomb that he was creating was going to be used for peace, even though I don't think he according to the movie anyway, I don't think he ever really believed that. He's out there picking the targets and talking about why you need to blow it up over a city, and kind of justifying it to himself, saying like, well, this is going to save lives. It's going to save lives if we do this. And it's just like, do you hear yourself, sir? Do you hear yourself? It's like he was so obsessed with this kind of like personal achievement that he lied to himself. He lied to himself that this was part of some like peacekeeping initiative, or that there was this opportunity for the US after the war to work with the Soviets, which was gone. Like long after that was clearly not a possibility. And he still kept working on this project to basically usher in the Fourth Reich. He's ostensibly against the Nazis. He wanted collaboration with the Soviet Union, but yet he still devoted all this his career to giving a super weapon to these absolute monsters who use that to kick off the Cold War and like kick off the whole like reality that we're living in now. Yeah, the justifications rang hollow pretty quickly once the Germans gave up. Yeah, absolutely, of course. And it's once FDR was gone as well. He kept saying, like, I hold by the Roosevelt idea that we should have cooperation with our allies and stuff. But it's like, yeah, he's gone now. So that's not happening anymore. So you have to deal with the reality and not the fantasy version. It's the materialism versus idealism kind of conversation. I did really like the movie, though. It's a kind of fascinating character. I like kind of thinking about it like this. Performances were incredible. Cillian Murphy was really great. So, but I think an interesting character in that respect. Someone who is kind of lying to themselves about their role in this like extreme reactionary project. Not very sympathetic, but I still really did enjoy the movie. I do think Matt Damon's character, forget the name, his character was whitewashed pretty drastically. He and Oppenheimer hated each other. Yeah, I don't know much about the story. I love the part where the team starts circling Moscow on the map as a target, and Opie's like, and the room starts to spin. It's like, what, Opie? What did you think was going to happen, sir? Look at who you're working with. And that's the amazing thing about the United States government. This man betrays whatever values he has. He betrays his values. He builds you the super weapon. He helps you kill hundreds of thousands of people. And you still accuse him of being a communist agent afterwards. Like, that's really the amazing thing. They still fuck you afterwards, and they still accuse you of being a communist spy, even when you bend over backwards to give these absolute monsters everything that they need. Oh, if he just needed one more year and he would have achieved internal change. He would have changed things from the inside. That's right. He would have changed the system from the inside. I'd watch Oppenheimer if it wasn't 7 hours long or whatever. I mean, because I'm 40, I just watched it in 2 installments. It's easy. We'll just watch it like that. He's a little small nuclear weapons designer. Yeah, that's right. And then that's it. He kind of lies to himself in order to like have this big achievement. What about the purity of the filmic experience? Well, I mean, if you're going to get the purity for the filmic experience, you can go in a theater. You know? When I'm in the comfort of my own home, I like to break it up into installments. I get too sleepy. Also convinces himself that the study of the science itself is more important than the consequences. Yeah, that's what I mean, right? He's rationalizing to himself the whole time. You know, it's this important scientific discovery. It's going to save lives. It's going to end war. This super weapon that I'm giving to these fucking Nazis in charge of the government is going to end war. And then at the end of the movie, he's just like, At the end of the movie, he's talking to Einstein. And he's like, I think I may have messed this one up. I think I maybe got this one wrong. Whoopsie doodle. I helped the US government kill hundreds of thousands of people. Another STEM bro L. Well, that's the whole thing. He should have been a communist spy. If that's what his values were, it's yet another in the long list of examples of what no theory does to an MF. He has these leanings, he has these sympathies, he has these values, but then he goes ahead and works with the United States government to create a mass death superweapon. You know, if he really did, if he had the courage to actually act on his convictions, rather than be this kind of like both sides, I've got a foot in one world, but then I'm helping the U.S. government build a superweapon on the other side. If he actually had the conviction to act on his values, he could have just worked with the Soviet Union. Favorite line of the movie: you don't get to commit sin and then ask all of us to feel sorry for you when there are consequences. Yeah. This whole, the Oppenheimer, the martyr, like that's one thing that, and you can tell that Nolan kind of has a respect for him and an admiration for him, but like, I don't think the movie is heavy-handed trying to promote that narrative. I think maybe if that's what your values are, you might take that away from it, but I don't think the movie was super heavy-handed about promoting this idea that he was some like martyr figure. Anyway, I did really enjoy the movie. Loved the score too. The score was fantastic, and really the whole scene with the Trinity test, when they finally get to that point, is really riveting. Like it's really enjoyed the filmmaking of it. Like it looked fantastic. Loved the cast, loved the score, loved the performances. It's kind of nuanced and interesting to talk about and discuss. I think anyone can take away different ideas and values from it. So I think as a sort of piece of art, it was very effective in that. I honestly thought the movie was surprisingly somewhat sympathetic to communist values, at least prior to the Cold War actually beginning. Yeah, I mean, for someone like Nolan, who I don't think has like a very coherent sort of political viewpoint, Nolan's certainly not a communist sympathizer, but there was that sympathy that was there, definitely. And obviously a harsh critic of McCarthyism in that kind of climate as well, which was also interesting to look at, considering we're entering into our sort of new McCarthyist era now. They ignored really talking about the victims of the bomb. I mean, I guess you could say that. Or bombs, yeah. I guess you could say that. I feel like as far as the message of the film, it views the creation of this bomb as kind of a monstrous act. And I guess the question is what level of sympathy you have for Oppenheimer for going along with this, despite it being something that's ostensibly kind of against his values. I don't think it's really ambiguous about the fact that it wasn't an act of horror. Okay, well that's movie corner. We talked about TV and movies. I guess we can get down to talking about serious business now. I think they did a good job of that, especially the scene where he's giving the speech after they drop the bomb and he walks out and steps on a body of ashes. Yeah, and he keeps having these hallucinations about the horror that it was inflicted on people. Again, I think the question when you watch it is just like, what level of sympathy do you have for Oppenheimer as a person, as a character? And I had very little sympathy. I still thought it was a fascinating character and a really great performance, but very little sympathy for the character. Yeah, I saw the Korea tweet, Global Cop. Why do people keep listing Korea as one of America's bad wars? I don't know. Personally, I think it's bad when America goes in and kills 3 million people in Korea. I think it's bad to kill 3 million people. I don't know. That's my big radical extremist belief. Like, that's a lot of people to kill in a situation that you have nothing to do with. You know, especially after the people in the regime and region where you're killing people were struggled to defeat fascism, you know, struggled to defeat the colonial occupiers. And then you reward them by partitioning the country arbitrarily, putting this exact same colonialist fascist people back in charge. And then you act surprised when people are upset by this, and you respond by bombing the country into the Stone Age and killing 3 million people. I think it's bad to do that. Call me crazy. Yeah, I was actually going to... Thanks for sending this, Energy CC. I was planning on watching this today. This interview with Yanis Varoufakis. I mean, maybe that's something we can even start with. Oh, and up the Reds, I actually wanted to look at this right now before we got going on anything, so thanks for sending that. The chat's coming through today with some good links. We got some good links coming through. This is, like, I almost still don't believe that this is real. Like, I think, I haven't seen anyone deny that it is real. Or that it is real, unlike Israel, which isn't real. But, like... This is insane. Like, this to me, I tweeted about this earlier, but then I deleted it because I referenced like it's a Paul Verhoeven ass reality moment, but I misspelled Verhoeven, so I deleted the tweet. But like, this is honestly astounding. I still don't know. Like, I almost just don't want to believe that this is real. Like, that's brutal. It is fake? There we go. We're debunking in real time. I think it is an interesting video because, like, it's acknowledging something that's very, like, a genuine thing that happened. But we're debunking in real time. We're getting to the disinformatia. The ad is a fake on our display. It's not running, nor has it run in our display. I mean, so it's good that we can get to the reality of that. Unfortunately, like this fake ad, though, is an example of a very real phenomenon. It's like the fucking Pixar lamp animation, for sure. I mean, this is what has happened. Like, we've totally pivoted away. And we've literally, after convincing Ukraine to, you know, follow our instructions, and I'm talking about us, like NATO, you know, the West, convincing them to go along with, like, our plans to destabilize Russia and saying, oh, you're gonna be part of the club, bro. You're gonna be part of the rules-based order. And now after 2 years where they've accomplished nothing, They've lost 20% of their country. They've lost hundreds of thousands of people. We really are just like, okay, we're on to this now. Sorry. We're on to this. You're never going to be part of NATO, dog. No. So I'm not surprised that this is fake because it seemed too unbelievable to be real, but it's an example of something that really is going on, like in our media and in our political class. It's one of those cases. That's right. It might not be real, but it says a lot about society that I thought it could have been. I actually was reasonably certain that it was fake because of how absurd it is. But it's a very real phenomenon, this kind of pivot. This pivot away from supporting Ukraine to supporting Israel and supporting the ironclad full rights of people that were being invaded to take up arms against their invader. That's what we've been talking about for 2 years, and we'll send Ukraine whatever they need, whatever javelins or missile launchers or body armor or guns, weapons. We'll train militias. We'll do whatever we can to ensure that you have the tools when you're being unjustly invaded, this unprovoked invasion. We'll do whatever we can to give you what you need to violently fight back against the invading occupier. You know? And then we look at Israel and be like, when you're being oppressed and colonized for 70 years, talking to Palestinians, you've been oppressed and colonized, living in this apartheid state for 70 years. We got 20 years of keeping 2.3 million people in an open air concentration camp. And we're going to give the people putting you in the camp whatever they need to drop bombs on the prison camp. And we say this with no introspection, no cognitive dissonance. It's really amazing. So I had a suspicion that this was fake, this billboard thing, but it's a very real phenomenon. The pro-war rally is going great. Let's take a look at that. Van Jones, what are you doing? This man used to be a Maoist. The amazing thing about Van Jones is that he was like an actual, had some vague left-wing credentials. He was part of the Obama administration initially. Right-wing media came after him and forced Obama to just let him go. Of course, Obama, being a huge coward, immediately just was like, yeah, fuck you, you're gone. And then rather than letting that kind of radicalize him and doubling down on his values, he has this like very cowardly, like just keeps trying to, 20 years later, he's still trying to ingratiate himself within the establishment. And now he's speaking at this pro-war rally and he's trying to inject a message of peace and solidarity, which is something that he knows. Again, he talked about Obama knowing the history of Palestine. Van Jones knows.
I'm a peace guy. I pray for peace. No more rockets from Gaza and no more bombs falling down on the people of Gaza. God protect the children. God protect children. Let's end all the horror and all the heartbreak in the Holy Land. Let's end all of it. Let's end all of it.
This is who you're trying to talk to, Van.
But I'll be honest in closing.
This is who you're trying to talk to with your
When I
message
think
of
about
peace.
what's happening over there,
This is not a peace rally, Van.
I don't feel powerful.
This is a pro-war rally you're speaking at. What are you talking about peace for?
What I do feel powerful is to maybe do something about what's happening here. Let's take a stand here against anti-Jewish bigotry. Let's
No
take a stand
ceasefire.
against Muslim. Let's take a stand here against hatred.
No
Let's take a
ceasefire,
stand
they're chanting.
here against hatred of all kinds. I don't want.
Great stuff. Great stuff, Van. No, good job.
I'm a peace guy.
Unless you want to hear more from Van. Here's Van Jones in 2003 when he recorded an album with Mumia Abu Jamal.
no borders, wherever there are human beings.
Here's Van
It's
20 years
important
ago.
for human rights activists to show support and to show solidarity. And what we want to see at this point is the rights of the Palestinian people being respected. And at this point, the end of the occupation, the right of return for Palestinian people, these are the critical dividing line, global dividing line questions of human rights. We have to be here. No American would put up with an Israeli-style occupation of their hometown for 53 days, let alone 54 years. We see violence against poor people and poor people of color within the U.S. border, at the U.S. border, and beyond the U.S. border, and you see U.S. tax dollars funding all of it. And so we have, this now global struggle against a U.S.-led security apparatus and military agenda that impacts people here and impacts people around the world, and I think that we need to see our problems as linked.
All right, Van Jones, thank you very much.
And 20 years later, 20 years later, he's getting booed at a pro-Israel rally with people chanting, "No ceasefire" at him while he's trying to, sir, come on. Yeah, sadly, you're right. Ropes into Edom. That's what the crowd is looking for. What is this again? What is this rally for? Can we get clips? Is there any more clips of this rally? Is there a live stream of the pro-Israel, the pro-genocide rally? The we support the government rally? We support everything that's happening. Yeah, I saw Tommy Robinson will be marching amongst moderates for the anti-Semitism rally happening in the UK. I saw that. And I saw some of these fake progressive Zionists as well being like, "We don't stand with you, Tommy Robinson." But it's you do. You do, though. You're at the same rally. You do stand with him. He's on your side. You got to embrace that. Yeah, and Le Pen in France as well. We've got actual fascists and anti-Semites showing up to support Jews at these rallies. Marine Le Pen acclamée à la marche contre l'antisémitisme. Actual fascists and anti-Semites. This is how much the Zionist movement actually supports Jews. France is so fucked on this. Well, it is, but there's also been significantly more people in France protesting in spite of the laws that are being put into place to prevent them from doing so, to support Palestine. As usual, there's a disconnect between what the actual people are asking versus what the government is doing. You're seeing the same thing in France, in the UK, in Canada, the US. It's kind of part of this crisis of legitimacy that the rules-based order is going under, or our empire, as I talked about it. And that's all people wanted to fixate on. But that's what that crisis of legitimacy about. It's a crisis of democratic legitimacy as well. You see this huge disconnect between what people are demanding in the streets versus what their governments are doing, and even fucking Macron is called for a ceasefire at this point. What is this guy's bald head right in front of the shot? Hot mic moment.
Défendre les Palestiniens en tête, ça serait bien.
Pourquoi? Je défends
The host Pascal Pro lambaste one of his pundits. If you could avoid defending the Palestinians on air, that would be good.
J'ai défendu les Palestiniens.
Et tu dis que tu les comprends.
J'ai dit je comprends les Palestiniens.
Non, il a pas dit qu'il comprenait. Il a expliqué la situation.
Les mecs, ils veulent
He wasn't saying he understood them. He's just explaining the situation.
Tu préférais que je dise ça, Pascal? Comment? Tu préférais que je dise ça? Oui. D'accord.
Parce que c'est la réalité.
Non, mais c'est une révélateur.
You prefer that I say this?
C'est la réalité.
D'accord.
Un État qui veut tuer Israël.
You'd prefer that I say this. It's a state that wants to kill Israel, that wants to destroy Israel. I'd prefer if you said that.
He made a lot of statements, right?
What is this?
You could not defend the Palestinians at the head. That would be fine. Well, why don't I defend the Palestinians? I defended the Palestinians. Yeah. And you say you understand them. I said that I understand the Palestinians.
No, he didn't say he understands them. He explained the situation.
Guys, they want to kill Israel. The Palestinians. You preferred me to say that, Pascal. How you preferred me to say that? Yes, because it's reality. No, but she's a real author. It is reality. All right. It's absurd to say that. Talk about what? We know we don't agree. We won't. Come on. And you're still good. Felix, but you are Jewish. The worldly bastards.
It is yucking it up. What is this, Bleep Lord? Is it an update on this Senate fight situation?
He made a lot of statements, right? And his statements are fiction at best.
Fiction, I read them.
Can you
What?
I'll answer the question, please?
I can't understand him, to be honest with you.
What is with this guy? Mark Wayne. Get a real fucking name, sir. Let's watch this clip with Yanis Varoufakis.
6 weeks after Hamas's attacks on October 7th, Israel continues its bombardment and siege of Gaza. While Israel's response has had the full support of the majority of European countries, some dissenting voices are making themselves heard and calling for a ceasefire. So, what role is Europe playing in the Israel-Gaza war? And how has its support for Israel changed over time? I'll ask renowned economist and former Greek finance minister.
Yeah, he's been
Yanis
great.
Varoufakis in an upfront
Ropes into
discussion.
Eden. Talk about someone that has had personal consequences for his convictions on this and
Thank you so much for joining me
refuses
on
to
Upfront.
bow down.
It has been
I respect
6
that a
weeks
lot.
since Hamas's attack on October 7th and the start of Israel's bombardment of Gaza. The vast majority of European governments were unequivocally supportive of Israel, as well as its response. But in recent days, Belgium's deputy prime minister has called for sanctions against Israel. And French President Emmanuel Macron has called to, quote, work towards a ceasefire. Are we seeing a shift in the positions of European governments?
Tragically, it has taken more than 11,000 deaths to see a minute shift, a shift which is so late.
Funny how Dem Socks call
so
Varoufakis a tanky now. Exactly, because there's no position, there's no pro-peace position you can have that these people won't immediately jettison you as soon as if you start like taking these positions. So you might as well just go and be a tanky, you know?
small that
the tankies, the tankies that want a ceasefire in Gaza, that want a ceasefire in Ukraine, and want negotiations and
what do you think
diplomacy
the initial
and democracy,
like
and want people to stop
8th,
dying. That's the tanky position.
Union, what should European states have been saying?
The thing that logic dictates, which is beyond condemnations. We all condemn war crimes. We all condemn horrible, horrible things that have been done to Israeli citizens, to Thai citizens by Hamas, to Palestinians by settlers in the West Bank. But, you know, let's move on beyond condemnation, because we Europeans have created this problem. We've created centuries of anti-Semitism, pogroms against the people that came originally from that land, the Jews. Then we subjected them to the Holocaust. Then we supported the vile dogma or dictum of a land without a people for a people without a land, as if Palestine was empty of people. This is settler, white, supremacist language. The British used this in Australia.
I like
to
Norm's
declare Australia
voice.
terra nullius, an
I
empty
enjoy
land,
it personally.
empty of people, in order to justify the genocide of the Aborigines in Australia, and not just in Australia. They did it in Kenya, they did it in South Africa, and you know, in the 1920s and 30s, the process began by which Europe was trying to get rid of its guilt over the pogroms against the Jews, maybe get rid of the Jews from Europe, by supporting a genocidal against the Palestinians this time dictum and narrative. This has been going on for 80 years. So what should have happened at the beginning of October? It's really very simple. We should have demanded the end of the state of apartheid, which creates two different legal systems on the same small patch of land between two different peoples. That is the source of all violence, violence for decades. We have a prime minister in Israel whose raison d'etre, the whole point of his existence was to destroy the peace process. Netanyahu has one objective in life, to make sure that there is never a two-state solution, the solution that Joe Biden advocates, Emmanuel Macron advocates. So this is what we should have done. Condemn all acts of violence, and at the same time say to both sides, to both extremes, we are not going to tolerate this. There is going to be a peace process under the United Nations. There is going to be a complete clampdown on all kinds of violence, whether it's settler violence in the West Bank by Israelis or Hamas violence against Israelis. And we're going to sort this mess out once and for all.
Well, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen proposed a kind of vision of moving forward that engages some of the ideas that you just mentioned. She offered 5 principles to guide the future of the Gaza Strip. Those include no safe haven for terrorists, no Hamas-led government, no long-term Israeli security presence, no forced displacement of Palestinians, and no sustained blockade. What do you make of the proposal, and does it fully represent what the European people want?
Well, Mrs. Ursula von der Leyen represents no one. She essentially violated all principles of European democratic process by flying to Israel and effectively cheerleading the war crimes of Israel in the Gaza Strip. As for the precise proposal, which comes, I have to say that, we have a duty not to take Mrs. von der Leyen seriously. DiEM25, the movement that I'm part of, we have a campaign and a petition for her removal and dismissal. She's an embarrassment to Europeans. She doesn't speak for Europeans. She shouldn't be there. We should get rid of her as quickly as possible. Having said that, let's take the 5 points you mentioned. Essentially, what she's doing is she's playing the game of Netanyahu of destroying the two-state solution by isolating Gaza from the broader problem of how to have two states living side by side.
The EU is a
or,
joke.
If we want to be more humanist,
Another arm of U.S. imperialism
to
at this
talk about
point.
a single state
And
that is secular and does not
Ukraine
discriminate between
invasion
Jews and
fully
the
cemented that.
Palestinians. She doesn't do that. She
No, there's
separates
no
Gaza
more
and says,
two-state
"Let's find a
solution, as we've been
solution for
saying.
Gaza." Not a solution for the apartheid state.
The two-state
in
solution has
West
been
Bank.
dead for
Because you
a
see,
long time.
Allow me to ask a rhetorical question. What if Hamas were to just disappear? You know, surrender to the IDF today. What happens then? What happens in the West Bank, where we have settlers, as we speak?
If two states are off the
throwing
table, what option is there? Well, I think you answered your own question. If 2 states is off the table, what remains is 1 state. 1 state solution. 1 democratic, secular state where Jews, Muslims, Christians, and all people can just live together side by side in peace. How about that?
Out terrorizing, killing, murdering, maiming Palestinians and throwing them off their ancestral land. You have a Palestinian Authority that has been completely humiliated and deprived of any authority over the West Bank, and you have a government which clearly says that they are going to annex the whole thing from the river to the sea. What is Mrs. von der Leyen's suggestion for that?
From the river to the sea. That's what Israel wants.
That is to become the useful idiot of Benjamin Netanyahu. That's who Mrs. Ursula von der Leyen is. That's why we Europeans must band together and get rid of her.
And like Leo 45982, obviously, like what you're saying, it doesn't mean that it's not complicated how to get there. It doesn't mean like it's an easy answer. It doesn't mean that it's an easy solution, but it's the only solution. All there is more apartheid, more endless cycles of brutal violence, or a process where there's peace and there's an effort to finally kind of resolve that. And that's, I think, as unlikely as that is, considering the ways that our governments in the West fully support that, that still doesn't mean we shouldn't stop trying to do everything we can here inside the empire to pressure our governments to be part of that solution. Because when the money dries up and when we start boycotting products from Israel, when we expel ambassadors, when we close embassies, that's actually putting pressure to get to that kind of a solution. And are we anywhere near that? I don't think so. No, unfortunately, but we still got to keep pushing for it though. Thank you, Leo. I really appreciate that you could stop by. That's it's really cool that you could stop by.
Earlier, you talked about Europe's long history in the hatred of Jews, the prosecution and persecution of Jews, violence against Jews. Is this Holocaust guilt that leads to this place of sort of not pushing back sufficiently against Israel's policies and practices? I'm asking that.
It's not Holocaust guilt. That's what they want us to think. It's not Holocaust guilt.
41% of those polled in Europe agreed that, quote,
it's about power. It's a colonial outpost. It's a military base.
Bears a special responsibility for Israel. Now, 39% disagree.
That's all.
Don't
and
know.
a convenient
That's
place for us to
sizable
expel
number
Jews
of people.
too.
And so it makes me wonder if that informs their decision to not more strongly condemn Israel's actions.
Partly, yes. Look, there is a very good reason why we Europeans bear the guilt over the Holocaust. It is because we are responsible.
More than
Not
a
just the
sprinkle of
German
anti-Semitism.
Nazis.
A generous
Nazis,
helping.
The Greek Nazis, the Hungarian Nazis, the French Nazis, or the collaborators. We all played a small part, not individually, but in terms of our culture, in terms of our nations, in that uniquely evil event in the history of the world, of humanity, called the Holocaust. But the question I put to my fellow Europeans, especially to my German friends, and I mean that as friends, is this. How far?
So fucking sick of hearing about Western values and Western influence.
Good old Rob to talk you through all this.
From sociopaths like Paul Mason. The idea that anyone could still go out there with a straight face and talk about Western values at this point is just ridiculous. It's just preposterous. Everyone sees what our values are. Everyone around the world recognizes what our values are. Theft, exploitation, racism, murder, lies. That's all. That's our values. Greed, first and foremost, probably the animating value that drives all of this. Yeah.
Must Israel's ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians proceed before our justified guilt over the Holocaust no longer prevents us from challenging Israel's ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians? So to put it a bit more brutally, how much Palestinian blood do we need to wash off the guilt of the Holocaust?
So it's a provocative question. A week after Hamas's attack on Israeli civilians, you refused to condemn either Hamas or Netanyahu committing atrocities across Israel-Palestine. Instead of condemning either, you condemned Europeans and Americans, as you're doing very much today, as the true villains who have been, quote, making peace impossible.
Of course we're the true villains.
Is it really fair to offset all of these war crimes onto the West? However guilty we all may be, shouldn't Hamas and the Israeli government also be held accountable for their actions?
Of course they should be. But allow me to say that I am a European. If I were Indian or Chinese or South African or Latin American, I wouldn't be saying what I said. But as a European, I am refusing to play the phony game that other Europeans play.
The thing is, Alexandro, I think Mark does gets it, but like that is being a journalist, right? You're giving your interviewer, your interviewee, the opportunity to answer the question that your viewers or people might have, right? I do think Mark Lamont Hill, in terms of any journalist that's even approaching the mainstream, certainly does get it, you know?
Governments who are condescending. They're looking at the people who now are suffering, both Israelis and Palestinians, and Bedouins and Druze in the land of ancient Palestine. Think of what we Europeans do.
You know, Robeson Eden says, I refuse to waste a single moment of my life condemning Hamas. It's purely performative and doesn't solve a single thing. It's designed to obfuscate. I refuse to be pushed down at this narrative dead end. Well, that's it. It's like, if you're not willing to, the total asymmetry in who we're supposed to condemn, you know, this idea that like you can't have an opinion on this without condemning the baddies, when no one asked that. No one asked anyone to condemn the IDF or Israel, who are responsible for, and that's not even whitewashing anything bad that Hamas has done on October 7th or before that. But by many orders of magnitude more, the IOF and the Western governments in Canada, the United States, and elsewhere are responsible for vastly, vastly more violence, including creating this entire situation in the first place. So it's just this way to totally legitimize this completely false dichotomy between these two things and who has the power in this situation. If you want to stack up body counts, by many orders of magnitude more, the Israeli government and the United States government and the Canadian government have a significantly higher stack of corpses than anyone in Hamas could ever hope to create. So yeah, when you put people in a concentration camp for 20 years, that's just Gaza, but the occupation's been going on, 75 years or whatever it is. You treat people like that for decades and decades and entire generations, and then some of those people commit acts of violence that you personally find abhorrent. I'm going to condemn the people that created that situation. That's Israel, that's the US government, the Canadian government, the British. They're responsible for that. That's who I condemn.
We look down upon those people and say, oh.
No, I don't think they feel guilty with the Holocaust at all.
Animals, you are killing each other. We're going to condemn you. Whether we condemn, the Hamas people or the settlers or Netanyahu or the PLO, in the end, we Europeans look down upon them as if we are superior. We're not superior. We're infinitely inferior. We, over centuries, have created colonialism, we have created anti-Semitism, we have created the mentality of imperialism. We are behind the massacres that are being carried out by both sides. So we are the last people on this planet, in this universe, who have the authority, the moral right, the high ethical standards that would allow us to look down upon these people and condemn them. I'm not going to play this game anymore. I condemn every war crime. But you know what? To those who say to me, why are you not condemning Hamas? I say to them,
you can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Preach.
Thank you, Cracklebearer, for 26 months tier 1. Thank you for that.
Opportunity to ask me this question. The moment you fail to condemn the killing of unarmed journalists, Palestinian journalists, non-Palestinian journalists, Israeli journalists, Israeli,
you can count on me. You're going to have
Jewish.
good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Crackety Kraken, thank you for the gifted sub.
Peace activists, children, women, old men. You've lost the moment you forgot, you neglected to condemn that. Let's not play this condemnation game anymore. Let's just ask the very simple question. Do we or do we not want to see? From the river to the sea, and I use this expression provocatively. Do we want to see from the river to the sea? I don't care about Israel, Palestine, or anything. Do we want to see people who live without the fear of being killed, with equal civil and political rights? What has happened in the United States in particular Have we forgotten the great civil rights marches in the 1960s? Why can't we have the same mentality about the land of Palestine and start with one assumption that should be common amongst civilized women, men, transgender, whatever we happen to be? And that is that there should be no discrimination, no apartheid in that land. How we're going to work it out, whether there will be two states, multi-ethnic states sitting side by side, or one state for everyone that doesn't discriminate between Jews, Bedouins, Druze, Palestinians, Arabs, and so on, I don't care. Let's begin with this.
In the past few weeks, we've seen some of the biggest pro-Palestine marches ever recorded, both in Europe and in the United States. Has there been a shift in the public's attitude toward Palestinians? And if so, will this lead to any kind of
There has definitely been a
government
shift.
positions changing?
Not really. What we have seen is a truer expression of the feelings out there in our communities. The people of Europe in the majority have traditionally recognized the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians since the Nakba, since 1948. The majority of the French, the majority of the Germans, the majority of the Greeks, we always understood, because it's the obvious thing to understand, that there was an attempt ethnically to cleanse a people. But I do not see our governments shifting fast enough so that we will be able in
King
the
of Barbies,
future,
there's for sure been a shift in the populace. I mean, this is exactly why they're freaking out about TikTok right now, especially among young people. We can actually look at some clips, like you should see the shit young people are saying right now on TikTok. They get their information from TikTok and social media and not cable news and corporate media. There's been a huge shift, I think. 76% here support ceasefire. Yeah, then many people support no longer arming Israel. Like, this is for the first time in many of our lifetimes.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Dummy Dorco, for the gifted sub. I appreciate it. Goes to show how much our ruling class doesn't represent the people. Absolutely. And this is kind of what I'm talking about this crisis of legitimacy, right? It's not only our high-minded rhetoric about human rights and our precious values and the freedom of the press and all this stuff, but it's also this expression that our form of government is like the only valid expression of democracy in a political system, and it's being exposed as being completely false. You know, people don't have democratic input into what our state does, especially when it comes to these kinds of issues. That's part of the shift that's happening right now. People are people around the world are recognizing that. If anyone had any illusions left about whether Western liberal democracy is indeed democratic, I think whoever had ideas that it has been kind of disabused of that.
To answer our grandchildren when they ask us, what did you do when the thousands of children in Gaza were being massacred in cold blood?
What some governments have done in response has been to ban protesting.
Yes.
France, Germany, Hungary, Austria have all banned solidarity protests with Palestine. Other European leaders have tried to delegitimize them, framing them all as anti-Semitic or extremist events. One German MP even suggested stripping non-EU nationals of their right to protest. How dangerous is this backlash for European civil rights and the global Palestinian rights movement as a whole?
Well, let me answer your pertinent question with an example. A few days ago, a friend who happens to be an Israeli Jew who lives in Berlin studied very carefully the German constitution to establish what her constitutional rights as a resident of Germany are. And she discovered that the police cannot ban her from doing a one-person demonstration. That is, standing in the middle of a square with a placard which read, "As an Israeli and as a Jew, I say, stop the genocide of Palestinians." And she was arrested. Need I say more? The moment
we talked about McCarthyism earlier, it's the new McCarthyism.
The moment we allow our police force, our parliaments, our instruments and organs of the state to tell an Israeli Jew in the middle of Berlin that she's being arrested because of the expression of a view which was not even spoken, but it was written on a placard, that is a very slippery slope to two things. Morbid anti-Semitism. Here you have a white German policeman arresting a Jewish woman who happens to be Israeli as well.
Any troubling historical connotations there?
Is the end of civil liberties for all of us.
Since
Fucking
the
Germans,
October
man.
7th attacks, there's also been a rise in anti-Semitism across Europe. We've seen Molotov cocktails thrown on a synagogue in Germany. We've seen stars of David sprayed on residential buildings in France. There was a Jewish cemetery desecrated in Austria. This is all very worrisome stuff. However, some accusations of anti-Semitism have been against people who are simply criticizing Israel's human rights record. For example, in response to Amnesty International stating that war crimes had been committed by all parties, Lior Hayat, the spokesperson for the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, called Amnesty International anti-Semitic and a, quote, propaganda organization that's working for Hamas terrorists. How does one thread the needle between dismissing the idea that all support for Palestine is anti-Semitic without delegitimizing the fact that there is a very real rise in anti-Semitic hate crimes against Jewish people going on right as we speak?
Whenever you have a tragedy like the one unfolding in the land of Palestine, in Israel today, the extremes are the great beneficiaries. On the one hand, the gross anti-Semites, and on the other hand, the gross haters of Palestinians. Allow me to answer by means of a personal story. I grew up in a fascist dictatorship here in Greece. We had colonels running the ministries. They were abominable. They were imprisoning Greek Democrats. We lived in fear for 7 years of the earlier part of my life. Now, whenever a foreigner, the German chancellor at the time, Willy Brandt, a great man, criticized the Greek government, he was being accused by the Greek fascists in power here in Athens as being anti-Greek, a mis-Hellenist, right? The equivalent of anti-Semite. Whenever a Greek confronted the fascist government talked about him as a Greek-hating Greek. This is what we have now happening across the world. There is a concerted propaganda effort to identify, to equate opposition to Netanyahu's fascist government and to the apartheid state that he has so successfully created with anti-Semitism. The moment you conflate the two, an objection to a fascist regime which oppresses Jewish intellectuals, Jewish Democrats, just as much as it oppresses anyone else. The moment you identify that, criticism of that regime with anti-Semitism, that is the greatest victory of anti-Semites. And to go back to the previous example with Iris Hafez, the psychoanalyst, the woman that I referred to in Berlin, the Israeli Jew that was arrested for protesting, isn't that the height of anti-Semitism? To have a white German police officer arresting an Israeli Jew in Berlin?
Now, a lot of Europe's far-right parties are providing unequivocal support for Israel at the moment.
Kind of says it all right there.
Those same parties often have a deep and long history of anti-Semitism themselves. For example, you have Marine Le Pen's National Rally Party in France, which fully supported Israel, but the party was founded by a former SS member and another founder, Le Pen's
and the Canadian Parliament as well,
minimizing the Holocaust.
And in the Canadian example, in the pro-Israel rally going on in Canada right now, present at the rally is the Canadian-Ukrainian Congress, who, among their ranks, have a number of former SS members. It does kind of make you say, why are these former SS members so passionately supporting Israel? I wonder if there's something to that. Did they just have a change of heart? Is it that they had a change of heart and decided that they were no longer anti-Semites and that they supported Jewish people? Or is there something else that's going on? I think that's the important question we need to ask ourselves right now.
Many have pointed towards similar trends among far-right parties in Hungary and Poland and other places. How do you make sense of these trends where far-right parties have these incredibly powerful pro-Israel views, but also deep histories of anti-Semitism?
Well, this is a worldwide phenomenon. It happens here in Greece, too. We have Nazis who were campaigning actively on anti-Semitic tropes. They were even selling those disgusting pamphlets and volumes about Sion and so on, the conspiracy theories against the Jews. And now they are, they are wearing the Israeli flag and egging on the IDF to kill as many Palestinians as possible. You have this in the United States. You have an evangelical movement which is extremely right-wing. It was extremely anti-Semitic for 200 years in the United States. And suddenly they have made the extreme Zionist position, the messianic position, whereby God supposedly is going to reappear in the land of Palestine.
The 99% Hitler discourse is really something else.
That makes it necessary to expunge all the Palestinians from that land. This is a worldwide phenomenon. It's a very interesting one. I think that sociologists, psychanalysts, psychiatrists are going to have a field day for the next 100 years explaining it. But what we see is, you see that really very simple flip of a switch from a rabid anti-Semitism to rabid Islamophobia. Because in the end, what the ultra-right needs is a group of people to demonize. It so happened that it was the Jews. Now it can be anything. It can be the Syrians. It can be the Palestinians. It can be, the Belgians. It doesn't really matter.
We should oppress Belgians. I actually agree with that.
A scapegoat. They need to be able to point at the people to say, if these people were eradicated,
fuck
life
Belgium.
would be easier. This is what Goebbels
I'm
did
sorry.
in the 1920s and 1930s so successfully, with the Jews being targeted and being the victims. Today is happening in France by the same people who were targeting the Jews. They're now targeting Algerians and Moroccans and so on. So the greatest enemy is a fascism that requires scapegoats. The fact that they flip-flop between different target groups is not the issue.
I want to ask you about something else. European countries have long been involved with sending weapons to Israel. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institute found that Italy and Germany have supplied Israel's military with crucial weapons and equipment that is now being used on the ground in Gaza. The UK has helped bolster the Israeli Air Force, while Germany has sent tanks to Israel as well. There's a lot of awareness of U.S. military aid to Israel. We talk about it all the time. We talk about the billions that we send. But how underplayed is Europe's direct military assistance to Israel?
Severely. And it takes two forms. You mentioned one form, selling Israel weaponry. But there is a second form, buying weaponry from Israel. Because Israel is a major producer of weaponry as well. And not just lethal weaponry, but also spyware. Think of Predator. So, my government here in Greece, the government of the Conservative Party that I oppose, they've purchased Predator and they've used it against their political opponents. They even use it to spy on one another. So
Excuse me. I hope Plunger Man is still here. I don't know if I think I was in the middle of saying something I didn't say thanks to Plunger Man for gifting a sub 20 whole minutes ago. Plunger Man, if you're there, thank you for that. I was on my high horse and I didn't acknowledge it, and I apologize. Thank you, Plunger Man.
Israel's location in the international trade of surveillance and lethal weaponry is a very important location. And Europe is an active supporter of this. Now, to those who are watching us and who think, yes, but Europe must help Israel survive. My message to you folks is, Israel is not in danger. Hamas, yes, they have a capacity to inflict a lot of pain on Israel, but it is not a present and clear danger for the Israeli state. Israel is a tremendously powerful state.
And like,
It's a
again, if you
nuclear-
don't want people to join extremist groups, then stop keeping people in these conditions. Don't keep people in concentration camps. Abolish apartheid, and then people won't join extremist groups because they're not growing up in that situation, which completely funnels them directly into that movement. It's not surprising that people grow up in Gaza and join Hamas. You know, it shouldn't be surprising to anybody. I think it's understandable. I think someone joining, we don't need to understand the violence against innocent people, but you can understand why someone who has had horrible violence inflicted on them, had family members killed, their mother, their father, their brother, their sister, their cousin, growing up in this apartheid state. Lo and behold, yeah, they grow up and get some fucked up ideas, and they want to join extremist groups to fight back against the people that are keeping boots on their necks. That's just an inevitable result of colonialism and apartheid. An inevitable result.
Armed state. It's got an army armed to the teeth and technologically incredibly advanced. There is no way that the Israeli army can lose to anyone. Only the Palestinians are being ethnically cleansed, and they are very clear guidelines by the Israeli government, supported by the West, to get rid of them. Fully to eradicate them from the Gaza Strip, from East Jerusalem, and from the West Bank.
On that note, from the rally today, not a single brown face in sight. Let Israel finish the job. I wonder if anyone's going to go and investigate the person holding that sign for being an extremist, in the same way they've investigated people, holding signs that have images of paragliders on them, or arresting South Asian women calling Rishi Sunak a coconut. I wonder if there will be the same outcry or the same interest in investigating who's responsible and bringing them to justice for having this genocidal message. Yeah, nothing says international rules-based order like the white people calling for genocide. Exactly. That's right. Good thing there's no hate crimes going on there. Finish the job. Yeah, kind of like a solution. Kind of like a solution to the problem. Like a final solution, in a way. You might even say. The pro-war rally. No calls to dox and fire that person. Exactly. It's interesting, isn't it? It's a little interesting. How much time do I left here? About another hour. This was amazing too. The stream of again, always a confession, right? Always a confession. The accusations, the Pallywood conspiracy, always a confession. Oh, they're crisis actors. When there's been Israel is hiring literal crisis actors in these videos, or to propose as families of these hostages to encourage them to continue.
Ya Allah, I can't believe I'm doing this, but the world has to know what Hamas is making here.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I haven't watched this yet. I haven't watched this clip yet. This is really bad. Jesus Christ. Like, I know I'm not Mr. like actor over here, you know, but like, man, if you're going to hire a crisis actor, let's get someone that's believable here. Okay. This is I have not watched this, honestly. I was kind of expecting it to be better than this. People were actually sharing this. You are Mr. Actor. Thank you, Sean. People were actually sharing this, being like, wow, look at this. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And she says, Ya Allah, and then just talks in English in this fake, like, panicked accent. Oh my God.
They're taking over the entire hospital. They're taking over the fuel, the medicine. I have nothing to treat with. I had to fix a fracture for a 5-year-old boy without morphine because Hamas took it to themselves.
No. 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 Come on. Marty, this is supposed to be a viral clip of a brave Palestinian nurse speaking out against Hamas taking over the hospital. Who believes this? What kind of a person looks at this and be like, yep, this is real. I think this is a real thing. They needed the medicine for the fentanyl bombs. You know what? That's one thing. It might be a controversial opinion, but I think if Hamas, given the conditions they're operating under, have developed a fentanyl bomb, I'm sorry, you may not like it, but I just think you have to hand it to them on that one. Man, this is significantly worse than I was thinking it would be. Like, you fucking do a second take or something. What is this? This is so much worse than I thought it was. The fuel, the medicine. Hamas took my medicine. Best Israeli actor. Found another interesting fact. Gal Gadot's name. Her name is not even Gadot. It's like Greenberg or something. It's a totally like normie name, and she changed it to make it like more of like an Israeli name. Greenstein. Her name's not even Gal Gadot. It's Greenstein. And she has a brother named Guy. Gadot? I don't know. I don't think I've ever tried to say it out loud. This is only halfway finished. Or no, another 20 seconds or so. I can't believe how bad this is. And yeah, that's what people are saying. It's not like this actress is not even Israeli. She's a Mexican telenovela actress who married an Israeli. So it's a Mexican telenovela actress pretending to be a Palestinian nurse. And the brilliant Israeli propagandists were like, no, this seems good. Yeah, let's go ahead with this. Guy and gal. Oh my God. The brilliant Israeli propagandists are like, no, this is good to me. People are going to buy this for sure. Oddly enough, people did, because that's how completely brain dead people are. They learned from America. Just hire Mexicans for any brown people.
Ya Allah.
Oh.
Please, if you hear me, please leave. Run away. Don't stay here, please.
Please keep sending Israel missiles, Stinger missiles to bomb the Hamas hospitals. Man.
يا ناس اطلعوا من هون اطلعوا من الشفاء يا الله.
The Ya Allah is really sending me. We need more knife missiles, Ya Allah. Good Lord. Do you think Biden watches this and shits his pants with fear? Do they know this is fake? He's going to tell a story about, Jack, I saw a brave Palestinian nurse. She's terrified. Hamas is taking the mid-kids' medicine. I saw it with my own two eyes when I could open them. Man, it's so bad. Everything that they've been pulling out there is horrible. The whole, like, all the telephone calls and stuff, the intercepted telephone calls. Like, if you're going to do this shit, at least hire some heavy hitters or something. You know? Hire someone that can actually do it. And yeah, look at the community note. The woman in the video has been identified as Hannah Abutbul, a former Televisa actress from Israel. Presenting you Hannah Abutbul, former Israel TV actress and digital content creator, aka the girl who performed in the viral doctor video, discouraging people from going to hospitals and asking them to run away from Palestine. Same glasses. Didn't even change the glasses. Incredible. Here's her YouTube page.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos a este nuevo video. Oigan, yo tenía tantas ganas de hacer este video que dije, ya voy a agarrar la cámara y voy a hacerlo, explicar sobre el tema, porque de verdad es una de las cosas que más me preguntan casi todos los días por Instagram o por YouTube o por donde sea. Y otra de las cosas que más me preguntan es por qué vivo en...
Man. Like, I'm sorry for laughing at such a serious situation, but it's like, what reaction can you have? What can you possibly have? How are you supposed to react to that? How are you supposed to react to this? Other than laughing at it.
Ya Allah, I can't believe I'm doing this. But the world has
I can't
to
believe
know,
I'm doing
has
this.
to know what Hamas is making here. They're taking over the entire hospital.
What the fuck? I can't believe you're doing this either. Yeah, seriously. My favorite part is that they're playing the sound of constant loud bombardments in the background, taking for granted that bombs are falling all around Gaza and hospitals is something they specifically say they aren't doing. That's a good point as well. Yeah, and someone sent the guy looking at the tunnels, the Hamas tunnels, when they find a calendar. They found a very sinister calendar. Because when there's Arabic written on something, it's automatically like a terrorist document. I hope our dear leader doesn't pick up accent inflections from people like this. You know he's thinking about dress-up time. Don't give him any ideas. It was a calendar of evil. It's a terror schedule. Exactly. Who's on terrorism duties?
I'm here in Gaza City. We are here next to a house of a terrorist. This is one of the senior terrorists who is the head of the operational naval operations that led the raids into Israel.
That
His
video is
house
insane.
is right next to a
That is so much more insane than I was thinking it was going to be. Honestly, I had not watched that. It was so much worse than I ever could have imagined. Like, it's almost a joke.
His house is 200 yards from the hospital of Rantisi. Next to his house, there is a tunnel.
Yeah, just needed the flashlight under the chin to give the real Blair Witch vibes.
Now I want to show you an operational tunnel. The tunnel is built with electricity. We first saw the solar panels, then the electricity goes here, and it goes down directly to the tunnel. Now you can see the tunnel. You can see the tunnel. The tunnel is let down more than 20 meters down. The rowboat found a door that is bulletproof. It's explosives proof, so it looks like a hard evidence, a clear evidence that the hospital direction is connected. This is a cover tunnel. It's part of the same
So we
floor,
weren't bombing
and
it, but now
slides
it's
down here.
clear that we need to,
So
if
it's
we
a
weren't
cover
doing it
tunnel,
already.
So nobody can find it. This is Rantisi Hospital. And this is the place where I showed you the tunnel. I want you to see.
And it's all in English, right? Because it's
This
not
is the
for
back
like,
side
it's
of the
for
hospital.
Western
Hamas
audiences.
used this hospital. Tonight we have entered into this building. I will show you the evidence. Let's enter into the hospital. We're now entering into the area of the hospital.
Interestingly, not
where
going
we
into
had,
the tunnel.
Found the evidence. This operation was conducted by Israeli Special Unit, the Israeli Navy SEALs. This is still an operation that is conducting. And I'm showing you the first evidence to see.
What happened to his head? He was having some lunch in between.
We're now in the area of the
He
basement
spilled some
of the
sauce on
hospital.
himself.
I want to show you a room where we found all the gear.
This is not in the tunnel,
gear of
Pietro. This is
Hamas.
in the hospital.
Hamas is using hospitals, like we showed the evidence in Shifa Hospital. In other hospital, we are now seeing it in live in Rantisi Hospital.
Points at volcano.
The
This is an obvious
operation
Hamas
still conducting
layer.
right now.
Their
Look
secret
at what
volcano
Hamas
layer.
is holding inside the hospital. I want you to understand. This kind of gear is a gear for a major fight. These are explosives. These are vests with explosives. Yeah, it's a body vest for terrorists to explode on forces. Among hospitals.
Yeah, we
patients,
made that connection
we
with
have
the
hand
Bin Laden
grenades,
mountain
Kalashnikov.
fortress. They're pulling all this,
And then
all
we
the
have
old
the
playbooks.
RPGs. People shooting RPGs from hospitals.
This gear is for a
This is
major
from
fight. I explained on camera, wearing a gun across my chest. Well, that's it. It's like, I thought that's what like a war was supposed to be. We keep telling us we're at war with Hamas. It's like, see, they have weapons too. They have weapons. Only we're allowed to. Only we're allowed to have weapons. Like, it's so fucking weird. To say nothing of the fact that we don't even know like where this came from. Any of this shit. Which they've intentionally put in this room with like children's pictures on the wall that at one point was some kind of like daycare or facility where children were. Is this a new MTV Cribs season? Yeah, that's right. They just found it all laid out like that. Exactly. They just found it all. It was just lying here. Yeah, exactly. They throw these weapons in a pile in front of children's artwork as if to say, look at these animals using kids as shields. 100%. When the kids who made that artwork are probably killed by Israeli bombs. Absolutely. Like that's 100% intentional.
Firing RPGs for hospitals. The world has to understand who is Israel fighting against. We are now in the basement. And in this basement, we found a motorcycle. They were all used in the massacre of the 7th of October. They even have bullets in this motorcycle. So they came back from the massacre on the 7th of October into Rantisi Hospital with hostages on a motorcycle. We're still researching this.
All of this, too, is just springs from the outcry that came up with them bombing that hospital like 2 weeks ago when everyone got mad about them. So they've been engaged in this nonstop propaganda blitz since that time to justify why they'd be bombing hospitals. And now this is supposed to be like the smoking gun evidence of why exactly they do need to continue bombing hospitals, something that they said that they did not do and would never dream of doing like 2 weeks ago. It is pretty cool that they found all this evidence there, for sure. This blew this case wide open.
Yards from here, we find the chair, a woman, clothes, and a rope. A rope next to the legs. And look above this. Look above it. It's a baby bottle. It's a baby bottle in a basement. Above a World Health Organization sign.
So, and yet framing like the UN and all these like NGOs as being part of the Hamas conspiracy as well. which they're just openly saying now. They're saying like Doctors Without Borders, journalists, they're all Hamas. They're all working with Hamas, and this is just like the perfect expression of that. The UN as well, yeah.
This is a suspicion for an area where hostages were being held. We're now looking at an infrastructure.
This is a
You don't
Hamas
need to
toilet.
build something improvisedly in a hospital in the basement. Unless you want to hold someone in the basement, you don't want anyone to see him. Again, we're in the same basement, and here we see diapers, and we see, I don't know, maybe something.
The diapers were his,
diapers.
actually. He dropped them.
I want you to see this room. It's in the basement of the hospital. We can see this area is a closed area from the rest of the hospital. We can see the ventilation air that was done improvisedly to this area. And we can see infrastructures that was built in here, toilets, shower, a small kitchen, will provide the terrorists their needs. Also conduct a hideout where terrorists take hostages and hide out. And I will show you now the evidence. You're now entering into the room where we suspect the hostages were being held. I want you to look
Doesn't
at
look
this
so
room.
bad to me.
People are putting curtains with
Got some
nothing above,
curtains,
just wall.
a nice little
No
aesthetic.
reason to
You got
put
some
here a curtain
sofas.
unless you want to film
What's the issue?
hostages
Exactly.
and deliver movies. And now we'll
Go
show
look at
you
where
more
prisoners are
evidence.
kept in the United States of America. It's
In
nothing
this
like
room,
this.
There is a list.
Oh, the list, the terror list.
This list, in Arabic, this list says we are in an operation, the operation against Israel.
The
started
smoking gun.
On the 7th of October. This is a Guardian list where every terrorist writes his name and every terrorist has his own shift guarding the people that were here.
That's a Hamas calendar. Wow. That's messed up. That convinced me. That sold me on this whole thing. Yo, they got calendars. Yeah, better bomb the hospital. Very like the whole like wag the dog propaganda info war that's been going on over the last month is really low effort. Like it's insulting. Just punching into another long hard day at the hostage factory. That's right, Randa. That's right. Clocking in. I'm really like a roll up the sleeves, bring your lunch pail, working salt of the earth, working class hostage factory worker. You know what I mean? It's just insulting, though. Like, they're insulting our intelligence. Oh, yeah, I saw this as well. Dr. Maga, we can watch this because it's quite funny. This guy's great. They get 1 hour lunch in healthcare. I wonder what the benefits are. You get any benefits?
I'm here live with BJ.
Jeez, that's so loud. That's so fucking loud.
News of the hate march. Everyone's brown and it smells. Let's go interview Hamas. Excuse me, how long have you been a human shield?
5 years.
5 years, thank you very much. Why do you hate all Jews? Because you're here at a pro-Palestine march.
I don't hate all Jews.
Liar, she's lying.
Zionism is okay. Zionism, no way.
Is he taking the piss? Look, even the children are mad. Look how angry this Hamas baby is.
Ceasefire now!
Why should we call for a ceasefire when all of this started on October 7th?
Because it didn't start on October 7th.
I fucking hate this place.
Free Palestine.
He means Israel. He means Israel, 100%. Why are you asking for an armistice on Armistice Day?
Because it's important.
Yeah, but isn't that disrespectful?
I don't think so.
Well, why do you go back to your own country if you don't like it?
I'm English.
Right, delete that. Find a brown person, quick.
A witch, you're a witch.
Oh, Suella, you're a witch. Unacceptable. Brown people shouting Hamas chants in the streets. What do you think of shit? Rishi. What do you think of Rishi? Shit. Thank you. That's all right. We hate Rishi. We hate Rishi. We hate Rishi. Oh, I've been looking for you all day. Wait, when are you going to stop this hate march, this rabble? When you agree that they're absolutely tearing down the city? No. I like him. He's one of us. Thank you for keeping us safe, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you, bro. Thank you for keeping us safe. I'm here.
That's good. That's good stuff. I wonder if there's any more footage from the rally here. This is so weird. I'm looking at my like For You search to see if I can find any info from this rally that's going on right now, and it's just nonstop videos of Martin Scorsese. We need that's right, James. We need a rally to restore sanity. That's what we need. Both sides need to tone it down. How is the John Oliver segment on this? Is it any good? I can't imagine it's like fantastic, but I've heard it's all right though. It's trash. Should we watch that? What's going on with the March for Israel? Here's one of the guys speaking, John Hagee, speaking at the March for Israel. Noted anti-Semite, Muslim hater, and racist, speaking at the rally. He's not even at the rally, he's speaking. Hagee has preached that the coming Antichrist, whom he says will kill 1/3 of the Earth's population, will be partially Jewish, as was Adolf Hitler. Hitler was not Jewish. This noxious form of Holocaust revisionism casts the Holocaust as a Jewish crime. From the sea to the river, Israel is forever. Is this person going to be investigated? Is this person going to be investigated for hate speech? For support for having genocidal intentions? How about, yeah, if only we'd have 99% Hitler. Well, you could say from the sea to the river, our president is only 99% Hitler. Yeah, it's been 75 years. Calm down. Calm down, lady. Of course I'm here. How could I not? John Fetterman with the Israel cape and the shorts and the hoodie. John Fetterman at the pro-Israel rally. Of course he's there with the Israeli flag cape and the shorts and the hoodie. An absolute fucking joke that guy is. Pretty big turnout. It's nowhere near the same size as some of the other rallies that we've seen. No ceasefire. No ceasefire, says the...
calls for a ceasefire are outrageous.
Calls for a ceasefire are outrageous to roaring applause. 5,000 kids killed. Calls for a ceasefire are outrageous and a big applause line. These people are sickos.
We stand the cause for a ceasefire.
Deborah Messing. All the stars are out. All the stars are here.
Hey guys, it's your comedy show, and
we'll tonight here for the next hour talking to all the stand-up comics, musicians, videos.
Is
and Jenny, all the stars are here.
Do you want a microphone, Norm?
Yes. Is that my tree?
What a disaster.
Jenny, all the stars are here.
It's
And she says a very moving speech by Deborah Messing, concluding with the words, "Our light will shine until the darkness is defeated." Deborah Messing says, "Our light will shine until the darkness is defeated." With stacks of over 10,000 people killed in Gaza, thousands of children, all the whole children of darkness thing, the people of light versus the children of darkness that Netanyahu was saying. Dale here's what my suggestion is for you. If you want to go find a media outlet that's gonna say Hamas bad and they support Israel, there's no shortage of places where you can go to get that kind of information. You don't need to come in here and bug me and bug people in the community. If you want to go and get a pro-Israel perspective, there's plenty of places where you can do that right now. Like you can just turn on your television. You can watch CNN or MSNBC, Fox News, CBC, CBS, Sky News, the BBC. There's no shortage of anywhere you can, if you want people to condemn Hamas and say Israel good, Hamas bad. There's no shortage of places you can get that kind of an analysis. There is no reason for you to spend your time here just bugging me. Just leave me alone, okay? Go get your, you win. You get everything that you want. Our whole government supports your position. What more do you want? You got to come in here and make me waste my time? What do you need exactly? You got the whole government, the media is totally in the tank supporting Israel, There's no shortage of places you can get that. And when you want to get into the semantics about Hamas being a terrorist organization, the countries that recognize Hamas as a terrorist organization are the United States, Canada, our Western Europe, fellow vassal states of the American Empire. They're the ones that consider it a terrorist organization. which should be like all the information that you really need to know that there's something more going on. Oh, you're just... First of all, I'm not getting angry at all, Dale. I'm actually quite calm. So I'm not getting angry whatsoever. But you're just looking to have a conversation to understand better from multiple perspectives. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You were merely trying to start a conversation and have a dialogue. I apologize. Calmer than you are. We started off talking about Van Jones, and this isn't a preposterous point to begin with. The Jews stood with the civil rights movement. That's why I can't stay silent today. And like, there's plenty of Jewish people, as we've talked about over and over, involved in the Palestinian movement. Do we think these pro-Zionists, whatever religion they are, would they support the civil rights movement today? Do they support Black Lives Matter currently? No, they do not. No, they don't. So what is the purpose of that? I came in here to the big Free Palestine header. I was confused. I wanted to hear other perspectives. I just wanted to hear people's perspectives, okay? That's what that guy was saying. Our authoritarian mods, against my will, banning people for their speech. And I'm sorry, I'm against that. Our fascist mods. Unbelievable stuff. Oh, all right. What a day. What a day. That rally seems pretty embarrassing. Embarrassing thing to be a part of.
I'm here in Gaza City. We are here.
I don't know why that started playing again. I'm sorry. I just got to look at this one more time. I've got to look at the nurse thing one more time. It is insane. And I have a funny video that we can end with. The Ya Allah is so bad. Everything about this video is the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen.
Ya Allah, I can't believe I'm doing this.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
Has to know what Hamas is making here. They're taking over the entire hospital. They're taking over the fuel, the medicine. I have nothing to treat with. I had to fix a fracture for a 5-year-old boy without morphine because Hamas took it to themselves.
How did he break his leg? That's another question that is not answered by this video. I can't believe I am doing this. The Hamas also broke the little boy's leg as well. Not only did they steal the medicine, but they also broke his leg. I bet the pay sucked for this. They probably got her on Fiverr. It's like if you're going to do propaganda, like wag the dog style propaganda, at least go to shell out some, like they're getting billions of dollars from the US government every year, like shell out some money to get a real actor on there. They also stole the kid's toy car and they smashed it right in front of him. You know? And then they laughed. Hamas is smashing little kids' toys and then taking away their medicine, chat, and you're laughing. Man, that is really something else. I've got to go in about, I'm not going right away. I've got to go in about 20 minutes. I've just as a little, like that was kind of a palate cleanser in and of itself. I also just like totally unconnected to anything. I also just came across this video earlier. We can get a little, you can have a little laugh at this just as kind of like a little palate cleanser as well. Just because I thought this was very funny. Did you see the tweet about the rocket filled with fentanyl? Well, that's what we were wondering. That's maybe why Hamas was stealing all the morphine. They're putting it in the fentanyl bomb. Is real talk about using people as humans, but their military is doing the same thing. Well, as we've talked about Imran over and over, is that all these accusations are always confessions. Like, what do they say about Palestinians? They say they call them Pallywood, and they're saying the Palestinians that we see on social media pulling kids out of rubble and, you know, dealing with devastating injuries, the doctors and the nurses, those are all actors. That's what they tell us. And then they say, look at this very real footage we have of this brave Palestinian nurse speaking out against Hamas. And it's the most comical, embarrassing, bad bullshit that you've ever seen. It's all projection. And that's just not even about Israel as well, but that's about claims that our empire makes against official enemy countries, no matter where they are, whether they're Palestinians, whether they're Venezuelan or North Korean or Chinese or Russian or whatever. It's always projection. And that's what Goebbels said. That's right, Dan. Accuse your enemies of what evil you yourself do. That's the exact playbook.
We're not sick. Jesus Christ, Frank, you just killed a kid!
Speaking of which, where are they?
Ellie. Whoa. What the hell's everybody doing in my apartment? We having a gangbang?
Come on, boost me up.
Whoa! Die, you sucker! Hey, you guys, look, I found this garden hose, right? I'm gonna use it to pump fresh air into the building and breathe into it like a scuba diver. I'm gonna try it out. Oh, botched. Oh, I botched that one. Oh, that's a botched job. Now this man loves life. That's bleeding. I need some trash to plug up the cut.
You got it.
Get him! Get him! Get him!
Swear to me that everything that you said about the Fireflies is true.
You gonna be crybabies about it? All right. Take my gun. Yeah.
I don't know. Little palate cleanser. So sometimes the future's not all bad. Sometimes it's not all bad. Okay, sometimes there's still moments of beauty and truth that we should celebrate. I must remind folks, I have to go in about 15, really maximum 20 minutes to go pick up my kid from school. So just remind people that if you enjoy this program, please, if you can, subscribe to TRRS. I've been trying to just like save these segments till the end of the stream to not be like interrupting all the dialogue and the important things we're talking about over the last couple of weeks. But as you know, folks, the only way that I am able to continue doing this program every single day on twitch.tv is if people subscribe. And I make the little number at the bottom of the screen go up. So if you can, if it's at all possible, folks, and I know it's not possible for everyone, but if you can, please subscribe to TRRS. It's $5 a month. It's totally free. If you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe totally free of charge by converting that into a Twitch Prime sub. You can support the show that I do every single day. The only way that I'm able to do it, as you know, is if people subscribe and through the endless and generous support that I get from the community. So if you enjoy the program, if you think that it's been valuable to you somehow, if you've enjoyed the commentary, if you appreciate this show and you appreciate being part of the community, if you can, please subscribe. And I'm a mere 25 subs away from the goal after that very generous dono from Mercurial Shroom 420. First 3 gifted subs in the channel. That's, of course, 2 subs away from becoming a highly elite member of the Friendship Triangle community. Thank you, Mercurial Shroom 420. And we're a mere measly 25 subs away from the goal, if you can believe it. I know it's very close. It's close. It's within reach. It's within grasp.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
I can almost taste it. I can almost touch it. Thank you, Max, as well, for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you, Max. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. And now a mere 20 subs to go. A mere 20 subs to go. So if you've been enjoying the program today, if you're able to, please subscribe. Please support the show, support the community. Gifting Spooky a sub is revolutionary action. I've seen a couple of non-subbed community members today, so perhaps there's some generous heroes that are out there that want to allow our non-subbed members and our lurkers, who we also love as well, to become subbed, badged community members.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Damn 17 months.
Thank you, Barkley, for the Prime. I really appreciate that. And it's longer than 17 months. It's 18 months. Thank you, Barkley, for the 18 months of Prime.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Comrade Bushy as well. Thanks for the gifted sub. Always coming through to support the stream. Comrade Bushy, I appreciate it a lot. Thank you for that. And we're a mere 18 subs to go, right? Yes. A mere 18 subs away to get to the goal for today.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Randa, thanks for the tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Brand new community member.
You can count on me.
We love that. Thank you, Randa. I really appreciate the tier 1 sub. Thank you. And thank you to Emperor's New Clothes as well for gifting a sub to our friend Spooky. Thank you. And now we're 16 away. A Canadian dozen. I go to work for the local public schools in 10 days. I'll be flush with cash. Well, yeah, any help that people can give is always very much appreciated. And I know it's not possible for everyone, which totally fine, obviously. But if it is possible, I always appreciate anyone that can support this program. You know, it's been really valuable for me over the last couple of weeks to come on here and spend time with each and every one of you talking about these issues and breaking all this stuff down and criticizing and critiquing and trying to break down the media narratives that were being fed about this and other issues. It's been really valuable to me. I hope it's been valuable for you as well. And if it has been, please, if you can, subscribe to TRRS. We're a mere 16 subs away from the goal. And remember, tomorrow we're doing a big unrigged launch. I mentioned that up front at the top of the stream. In case you weren't around for that, Unrigged is a brand new website that's collecting all the different writing that's going on in the kind of Canadian independent progressive media space, collecting it all under one banner, under one website. And tomorrow we're doing a big launch of the Unrigged website. Going to be talking to a number of different fine folks across the country about the work that they're doing. That's going to be happening tomorrow. Should be very cool. Make sure you tune in for that. Really looking forward to that. A bunch of really great things planned on the show coming up. A mere 16 subs to go, folks. Just a few brave and heroic and generous chatters. It's an aggregator. That's right, Dave. It's like it's taking all the different progressive media outlets and all the different everything that people are working on and just putting it all in one spot. And I've seen the website. I've seen like what it's going to look like. It looks fantastic. It's going to be really cool. I think it's going to be a really cool resource for people.
Talking through all this.
A lot of really fantastic people involved in it. So I'm looking forward to talking more about that tomorrow. Diego, thanks for the gifted sub and thanks for all the support. I really appreciate it. Only 15 subs to go to get to the goal, chat. Barely anything. That's barely anything at all. Just a few heroic and brave and generous chatters could drag my tired ass across the finish line and allow me to live another day. And like I said, I've been really trying to avoid doing this like throughout the last couple of weeks and like breaking up the commentary that we're doing with pleas for a call to action to support this community. Keeping it till the end here. So if you can, just please support the show. Please support the community. It's the only way that I'm able to keep doing this show each and every day. Organizing our own media to replace the existing rotten hegemony is a necessary step towards building socialism. Yeah, I agree, Sam. I have to make a new account before I hit 1488. Yeah, we don't want that. That's the bad number. That is the bad number. We got 10 seconds left to get through level 3 of this hype train. Another gifted sub or two would probably do it. And then we'd get access to brand new cool emotes. That'd be fun. Sub now for instant communism worldwide. The second it hits 35. Am I allowed to say that? You are allowed. I can't attest to the accuracy of that statement. I'm not going to throw my name and my credibility behind that statement. I'm not going to guarantee or promise to anyone that worldwide communism is going to be achieved. But do I know for sure that that's not going to happen? No, I don't. No, I do not. So, who knows? There's been talk. Some people have said this, Many people are saying it. So again, gang, we're very close. We're very close to the goal. We're teetering on the edge of socialism. Canada and America are just so close. All it takes is that one little push. We're just hovering right on the brink of socialism. So close. Less than 35 subs is barbarism. over 35 is socialism. That's how that works. That's right. That's exactly how that works.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Do bits count?
Yes, that does count. Thank you, Joe, for the 420 bits. That's the weed number. That is the weed number. It does technically it doesn't count towards the goal. That is true. I have to smunk weeds now. That's how all the cool kids are saying it. Thank you for your interest in Snowcall. Well, folks, what do you say? What do you say? It's about time for me to get going. We still have another few more moments. 15 subs away from the goal. Still totally doable. Still totally within reach. If you're a lurker, if you're new to the community, if you've enjoyed this content in this stream, if you enjoy the show, if you appreciate the what I do over here on twitch.tv every single day, the only way that it's possible for me to continue is through the generosity of this community, the wonderful folks in this community. So it's still totally doable. Do we have any other wonderful, brave heroes that are going to step up and support this show? That is my question today. I'm just looking at who I should
just
maybe...
become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Crackle Bear, thanks so much for the 5 gifted subs. That's very kind of you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I really genuinely appreciate all the support, folks. No matter who you are. Crackleberry especially. Cracklebearer especially right now. Let's be clear, I'm so respectful that I fucked up the name. I fucked up the name of someone generously supporting the work that I do in this community. It's actually intentional. It's a power move. It's a power maneuver. When someone donates and you instantly neg them. You instantly neg them. The people that are taking their hard-earned disposable income and supporting the media project they are working on. New beef just dropped. That's how you get repeats for supporters, exactly. It's like, yeah, it's like yanking the hand during a shake. Exactly. Crackle Bear, thank you. I really appreciate it, seriously. The slub pickup artist. It's pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much what I got going on over here.
Okay, Rob. Seriously, wow.
Oh my goodness. Holy Lord, Globocop. Thank you for 10 gifted subs. That's so kind of you. I really, really appreciate that. Holy Lord. You know, a lot of the time when I'm doing the like, oh, it's within grasp thing, it's within reach, I really don't expect to actually reach it. I'm going to give you a little peek behind the curtain here. I really don't ever expect for that to work or for the goal to be reached. And people just continually come through and support the community and support this show. I can't tell you how much it means to me. I really can't. It's really incredible. Thank you so much, Globocop, for that. That's really, really kind of you. Broke my immersion. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just saying that, like, people in this community, the generosity that they show in supporting this show genuinely shocks and surprises me sometimes. And it really does mean the world to me that people are out there that support this show. You know, I could not, it's not just something that I say. I could not do it. I could not do it if there weren't people that were supporting this. A lot of sweeties. It's true. This season, gift the slub of rib. What a ridiculous thing to say, but it's means something. You know, that's how silly this is. We are going to go ahead and raid our friend Leaping Larry. Real salt of the ass community. Cannot believe I said that. That's really...
You can count on me.
It's really something else.
Good old Rob to talk you through all
and
this.
Crackle Bear, thank you for another gifted sub to One Who Reads. Thank you, Crackle Bear. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the support. So the message to Leaping Larry is Rob Knife and is this your homework, Larry? Okay? That's the raid message. You nailed it, Sean. Exactly. Thanks again for tuning in today, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow. Again, with big launch for the Unrigged website tomorrow. All kinds of special guests, all kinds of great stuff going on tomorrow. So make sure you tune in. Thanks, folks. I'll see you then. Free Palestine.